Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. All right, guys. So the 10th week of the 2020 NFL season has elapsed, and there were some different outcomes than we initially expected. There were some great games, some great catches made as well, to say the least. But as always, guys, per the usual, we're going to be going over our top 5 games and seeing who got them right and wrong and analyzing the games. So without any further ado, let's get to it. All right, guys. So the first game which we're going to be going over is going to be between our hometown team, the Chicago Bears, against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, guys, the Bears ended up dropping their 4th game in a row, losing against the Vikings 19-13. Now, initially, guys, we thought that the outcome of this game could be different. Our offense could get rolling, with Matt Nagy not calling the offensive plays anymore, Bill Lazor in. However, we did not see a change in outcome. Heck, at the end of the game, we saw our quarterback, Nick Foles, go down with a potential injury. Who knows when he'll be back? Safe returns for him. And in came our 3rd string, Tyler Bray, at the end. Now, guys, it was made apparent that Kirk Cousins had a great game, a tough loss for us. Our thoughts on this game?
I think at this point it's safe to say that the Bears season is probably over. Unless somehow Nick Foles comes back really quick or their 3rd string Tyler Bray just comes out of nowhere and star QB, which is very unlikely. But their offense, I thought their offense would be a lot different against the Vikings last year, especially since Matt Nagy doesn't run the play calling anymore. But honestly, it looked the exact same as it always does. Not much improvement. The Nick Foles has always been very inconsistent. It's sad to see. Let's hope that his injury is nothing too bad. He comes back soon. But it's just looking kind of questionable for the rest of the season, especially with their QB out.
The Bears since week 3 have been ranked 31st in total offense in the league, which is comparable to the Jets. It's nothing that I didn't expect. This was their offense before. This is a personnel issue. We have a terrible O line. Our receivers aren't getting separation. Quarterback has no time to throw, and so our offense isn't putting up points. Yeah, B is exactly right. The Bears season is pretty much over, and they're in the market for a new quarterback.
If this is the end of the Bears season, I want to see Mitchell Trubisky out there going for one last ride. If this is truly is his last season with the Bears, I want to see him out there throwing the ball 50 yards over our wide receiver's head and then somehow converting a 3rd and 20 on a 50-yard run. This is the type of play I want to see. At least I want to be entertained for the last 6 games.
Initially we thought that Bill Lazor's offensive calling was looking nice. The initial debut, it was going pretty fine until we found out that 3rd down conversions did not go in our favor. The Bears went something like 2 for 8 in a total 3rd down conversions. And you said it perfectly. Bill Lazor, Matt Nagy, none of it mattered. It looked like we were the same team. It was a pathetic show. We started off 5-1, and now it's looking like we're about to be the last team in the NFC North. Tough loss, man. It's going to be interesting to see if we can pick it back up, though. All right, guys, the next game which we're going to be talking about is going to involve yet another loss, but for a B's team, the Seattle Seahawks, losing their 3rd game of the season, going to 6-3 against the Rams, losing the game 23-16. And guys, it was crazy to see, but Russell Wilson did not have a great game again. He threw for 2 interceptions, no passing touchdowns as well. I got to admit, we did not see my boy DK out there balling as well. It was a tough loss. A B. Your thoughts on this loss?
Well, before B gets started, before he rants for the next 5 minutes, I just want to say a few things. One, I saw this coming. The Russell Wilson bounce back. It was an anecdote. They played a trash team after they lost to the Cardinals. He was just bouncing back off a poor opponent. They lost to the Bills. Their flaws were exposed. They lost again to the Rams. Their flaws were exposed. That defense has glaring holes from Jerron Reed to Trey Flowers. Jamal Adams is probably their best pass rusher right now, and he's ranked currently in the bottom 10% of the league as an actual safety. I mean, I wouldn't put that on him. They use him horribly. But looking at Russell Wilson, he doesn't play good. That team is completely garbage. I mean, they're probably, their defense is comparable to the Bears' offense. It's so bad. It just makes the other half even worse. The Seattle Seahawks offense, they sort of gave up. You saw it towards the end of the game. They knew that regardless of how many points they're put up, the defense would get walked right over. And it's kind of like what happened with the Bears last year. The defense gave up halfway through because the offense wouldn't do anything. And it's sad to see that, the Seattle Seahawks doesn't have a very bright future this season.
Yeah. To say I'm disappointed in the Seahawks over the past 4 games is an understatement. Starting off with the defense, it's expected every single week by now, just like the Bears offense. The other team's going to score an insane amount of points. The Rams didn't even score like a crazy amount of points, but their offense is like not like amazing either. But going with the Seahawks offense, Russell Wilson has made some questionable decisions in the past 4 weeks. I can't always blame everything on the O-line. The O-line is horrendous. Don't get me wrong. It leaves him barely any time to throw or make decisions. But some of his passes, like we saw in the first quarter, he could have ran the ball like 20 yards and he threw an interception in the end zone. So he makes some questionable decisions these games. They are top tier defenses, but he's going to be playing these defenses. He's in the NFC West. You can't expect to play like bad teams. It's not the NFC East out here. So it does look a bit questionable the future. Hopefully he has a bounce back for the next 4 games as the schedule is a bit easier after he plays the Cardinals. But yeah, for now, he just needs to make better decisions and we'll see how it goes.
I don't think all the terrible decisions that Russ has been making is completely on him. I actually think that's the defense's fault. When you as a quarterback know that your defense is complete garbage, you're trying to do everything for your team. And instead of taking the 5-yard run, 10-yard run, he's trying to launch a 50-yard TD bomb at DK Metcalf. And especially when DK Metcalf is getting locked up on the right side of the field, there's nothing really Russ can do in that situation. So, Seahawks, obviously they look really good in the first half. Their flaws are getting exposed now. And I think this is going to be a trend we see for the rest of the season.
Well, I'm not sure about the rest of the season, but one thing's for sure. At the beginning of the season, when the Seahawks were 5-0, they were looking undefeatable. Russell Wilson in the pocket, man, he was looking like he could do everything. But these past couple of weeks, that opinion has been shifting. Last game, we got to see again, DK Metcalf getting locked down by not only Jalen Ramsey, but Darius Williams, who had 2 interceptions as well. I'm sort of scared, man. I've been hyping up DK, Tyler Lockett, this trio for a long time, but the Seahawks these past couple of weeks have been looking inconsistent. And to put it simply, it's a comparison with the Bears, like Harshy mentioned. Our offense is their defense. It's terrible. But it's going to be interesting to see if Russell Wilson can maybe pull out a bounce back against the Cardinals this upcoming week. All right, guys, now moving on towards our third game, which we're going to be going over, that being between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. Now, guys, the Colts did end up winning the game, improving the record to 6-3 and getting in the first place tied spot in the AFC South. Our thoughts on this game?
The Colts really surprised me this game. I didn't expect them to win in a blowout fashion. The running game is really strong. Phillip Rivers off that running game, throws really well. And this offensive line is probably the story of the season. Offensive line is ranked number 1 across the board. They're really good at protecting Phillip Rivers. But more importantly, I want to look at the Titans. I don't know what happened. Without Derrick Henry getting like 150 plus yards, the Titans aren't really capable of doing much on offense. Ryan Tannehill's fallen off. And it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
I think for the Titans' entire season, people were trying to push the narrative that, Ryan Tannehill doesn't need Derrick Henry. And when Derrick Henry doesn't perform, doesn't mean that Ryan Tannehill's not going to perform. I just feel like these last couple of games have proved that theory wrong. Derrick Henry, he's not been doing bad at all. He's actually been getting good amount of yards, doing what every good running back does for the team. But as you can see, Ryan Tannehill, none of the receiving core, they had barely got any yards, any touchdowns. He just couldn't find a stride. And like Arden said, the Colts really did surprise me with how they performed. Phillip Rivers, or defense in general, they are looking like an elite team and potentially even a top 5 team.
I wouldn't blame the Titans offense entirely. We're basing this off of 3 of their last games, which they played against 3 of the best defenses, including Bears, the Steelers, and the Colts this weekend, on Thursday. And, those teams are really good, and obviously you're going to need to perform at a high level against good defenses in order to be successful as a team. But, this is sort of a downstretch. I can definitely see them turning it around and picking it up when they're not playing teams at this high level. They had a very difficult schedule after, what they're going into within the season, playing Pittsburgh, the undefeated team. I do believe they have the Ravens coming up soon at some point this season. So I do think that the Titans definitely have a little bit easier of a schedule. This is definitely a rough patch for them, but I definitely do see them turning it around offensively.
Like Arnie said, it was a surprising outcome. Did not expect the Colts to double the score of the Titans. I truly expected when I made that pick last week that Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, they're going to be better. But got to give credit where credit's due. Phillip Rivers having a baller game. Running back of the Titans, Naeem Haynes, he also played out good, having a receiving and a rushing touchdown as well. And it's surprising, the Colts and Titans are going to be playing again, I believe, in 2 weeks. So if Colts can keep this up, they got the AFC South locked up. All right, guys, now making our way towards our fourth game, which we predicted, that being between the Los Angeles Chargers against the Miami Dolphins. Now, guys, the Dolphins improved to a 6-3 record with Tua Tagovailoa leading the way for the Dolphins to win the game 29-21. Our thoughts on this game?
The Dolphins are looking like some dark horse candidate out here. I don't think anyone expected this from them. They've been playing lights out the past couple of games. First being the Cardinals, now being the Chargers. Tua is honestly, in my opinion, he's a great quarterback right now. He's been showing off his strength running, his passing is very good, very consistent. And to talk about the Chargers, Justin Herbert, I mean, he played great. He had an amazing game. I have to give him credit, obviously. He's my favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year at this point. But the Dolphins just look like a very good team right now. And I feel like they can surprise a lot of those big-name teams when they play them.
Yeah, obviously, Justin Herbert had a pretty decent game yesterday, but I think the storyline is the Miami defense. I mean, they're very young and very talented. They played really well this whole season, and they're only going to get better. This Miami defense is definitely good enough to carry them to the playoffs, and it'll be interesting to see, as the Miami Dolphins are only one game out of the AFC East spot. So, who knows if maybe the Dolphins can win the AFC East.
Looking at the way things are, the Miami Dolphins defense is incredible. And Tua's in the developmental stage where he gets better and better by a little bit every game. And that better and better is just enough to get them back victory. And, that's not a bad thing at all. If their defense is playing good and the quarterback's developing over time, maybe not this year they can make a deep playoff run, but you can definitely see them having a lot of success in the coming future. And, great win by the Dolphins, and the Chargers got to get some kind of defense going there to help Jay Herbo.
For sure. These Dolphins sort of remind me of like an upcoming Celtics team a couple years ago. They got a bunch of young stars who can have a tremendous impact in the league. And I feel like this season is just shining a little bit of a spotlight on the team. The Dolphins going 6-3, I'd be like you said, no way could we have imagined that. If you go back to our division predictions video, I'm sure none of us had the Dolphins as such a dark horse candidate. It's crazy to think, but it's possible. I can definitely see them making a run for that number one spot in the AFC East. And if they do, we won't be surprised. All right, guys, now making our way towards the fifth, and what I'm going to say, the most exciting game of the week till that last play, that, of course, being between the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills. Now, guys, this game went down till the last play, quite literally, with a Hail Mary from Kyler Murray from 50 yards out to the one and only DeAndre Hopkins. That game kept us on the edge of our seats till the very end. Our thoughts on this exhilarating game?
I think it was a close game throughout all four quarters. Both teams had for the first quarter, it was kind of a slow start for both teams. Touchdown and a good amount of field goals. And it was close throughout the entire game. And then that fourth quarter, when Josh Allen threw that touchdown to Stephon Diggs, I think it was safe to say that a lot of people thought that game was over at that point. And I thought that it could have been over. But then Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins coming out of nowhere, that last catch to win the game, DeAndre Hopkins, I think that was one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. And, it kind of takes the question that DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver. It solidifies that argument for a lot of people. Julio Jones has been good, but DeAndre Hopkins, wow. I mean, he just won that game for them. He's an amazing receiver, and that Kyler Murray D-Hop duo is probably the best in the league right now. So, yeah, that was a great game.
A lot of people don't know this, but right now the Cardinals are number one in offense in the whole league, which is crazy to me because it doesn't seem like it when you watch them. But Kyler Murray and D-Hop have been absolutely sensational this year. And then Christian Kirk and Kenyon Drake have been very good. This Cardinals team is very dangerous because their offense is legit. I mean, they are the best offense by stats. I really think that if the Cardinals get favorable matchups in the playoffs, they can really go on a deep playoff run. And obviously, Kyler Murray has put himself in the MVP conversation with that performance.
You guys covered it when it comes to Cardinals. When it comes to the Bills, they played a good game. They did everything they really could to come back. With 30 seconds left, a game-winning drive, 99% of the time that wins you that game. This is that 1% where Kyler Murray throws up the ball and DeAndre Hopkins is on the receiving end. Most scenarios, we would be talking about the Bills leading a game-winning drive against the Cardinals right now. But, that's not what happened. But the Bills still played an incredible game. The defense letting up one play, it's not how you want the game to end, but it does end like that sometimes. But they still played a phenomenal game on the offense and defensive side of the ball. In the first half, it was all about defense. In the second half, it became all offense. It shows that they're a well-coached team. They know how to make their adjustments. And same thing, I guess, could be said about the Cardinals. So exciting to see what this Bills team is going to do in the coming games.
All right, yeah, for sure. DeAndre Hopkins, oh my gosh, this guy has been looking amazing. Kyler Murray, this combination is amazing, guys. I think that's going to be true for not only the upcoming season, but throughout the coming years as well. I'll be honest, at this point, with Kyler Murray injecting his name back into the MVP conversation, I'm not only scared for Russ's number one spot for the MVP race, which he was in, not this week probably, but also for the Seahawks playoff spot. That number one seed in the NFC West, that is up for grabs officially. The Seahawks are going to be playing the Cardinals in this upcoming weekend. Boy, oh boy, that's going to be quite the match to see. All right, guys. Well, that is the wrap for the 10th week of the 2020 NFL season. Crazy to think it's already been 10 weeks. But up on the screen, guys, are our cumulative record predictions with Ari in first place, tied for first place, Harsh in second, and I myself am in third. Going to be interesting to see how these next couple of weeks unfold. But as always, guys, be sure to like button, subscribe, and comment down below your main takeaways from these awesome games. Take care, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.